Alright guys, we've got a 2010 Subaru Forester 2-litre turbo diesel, DPF light on, engine light on. So we're just doing a scan with the launch pad. Not sure why that's not coming up, and while that's scanning I'll take you a look around the workshop, see what's going on. It's I don't know if you can see that, but it's 7:25 here and it's time to go, but I don't think I'll be going anywhere anytime soon. I've got a few cars on the go. This Hyundai Tucson, it's got a head gasket, so we'll be doing some work on that. That's not happening tonight. This little Kia Rio, it's got some axle seals that need changing for an oil leak. And this Volkswagen Golf has got a coolant leak that we've just repaired, and we're running it up to get it hot and make sure it's okay before we send it back to the customer. This is our workshop project car. It's a 5.7 litre LS1. If you're not from Australia, this is our local iconic brand called Holden, and something that we picked up cheap, and we are going to be putting a couple of turbos on it, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, back to the car. Let's see what codes we have. Right. So we have got EOBD P1469, not defined, continuous. ABS C0057, VDC control interruption because of engine instructions, and IUM B0403. So let's have a look into these codes and see what that mean, and then decide where to go from there. So here we have our code P1469, DPF restricted. And both of those other two codes were requests of the ECM to log those faults. So this is our main cause, and let's have a look at what's going on with this DPF. Alright, let's look at the deviation between the DPF inlet and outlet. We can see at idle it's 1 kPa, so let's give it a rev and see what that goes up to. 17. I think there's definitely an issue going on there, so let's have a good look into that. I just went into DPF regeneration because I know that in the launch it's actually got a special function or a special live data that shows you soot accumulation separately to the live data that's in the normal ECM. So I just wanted to see that soot accumulation to see what that level was, but I just went to go look into it, and it came up with DPF regeneration cannot be performed due to soot accumulation rate is high. So obviously there's something further going on. I need to look at this engine and see what's actually causing this. We know these are really common for intercooler boost leaks, hose leaks that leak boost, and obviously this overfuels and it kills the DPFs. So first thing I'll do is I'll pop the bonnet and see if there's anything we can find under there first that's causing it before we do anything to do with a manual clean or a regeneration or anything to do with the DPF. Okay guys, we're here now. It's a different day. It was too late to continue on the other night, so we just left it as is. And look, this car's actually done. I'm kicking myself a little bit because I didn't get a chance to film everything what I wanted to show you guys, but we've been so busy lately I just couldn't slow down enough to actually film anything, and the customers really wanted this car back straight away, so I just had to keep going. So it's really done. I just wanted to give you a quick overview. Look, obviously it had DPF blocked, but we know for a fact you shouldn't be regenerating a DPF unless you actually find the problem of why the actual DPF got blocked in the first place. Now, the number one reason we see in the city that I'm in is a lot of cars don't get driven very much to and from school, to and from the shops, and we know for the DPF to do a passive regeneration, the car has to be under certain conditions, and a lot of people don't actually get to those conditions, which is why the DPF never actually regenerates passively on its own. Usually that's indicated by DPF light on, and then we can check all the soot levels and decide what we need to do. We can do a regeneration if that's the actual cause of it, but obviously there's many other factors that do cause a DPF to be blocked. Some of the other things that can cause the DPF to be blocked is poor fuel quality, injector operation leaking, EGR valve being blocked, or a bit of carbon, the wrong engine oil dilution, and the other biggest thing that we see a lot of is boost leaks. Obviously with the MAP sensor reading incorrectly, it will be over fueling, and that can lead to early blockage of the DPF itself. So we checked all those things and they were all checked out perfectly. I didn't get a chance to show you that I started with the smoke test. That's the first thing I do, because the boost leaks are usually what's always happening on the cars that we actually see, but there was no boost leaks. So we looked at the rest of the items and we found that there were no issues at all. We spoke to the customer and we found out that really he only takes this thing to and from his workplace, which is very short distances, never any long runs, never really long enough to get the DPF hot. So we decided to do a manual clean. We couldn't do a force regeneration with our scan tool because the soot accumulation was too high. So we decided to do a manual clean first to get it low enough for us to do an actual scan tool regeneration. So that's what we did, and I'll show you how we did that underneath. So we came over here and we just took these lines off the differential pressure sensor, and we just checked to make sure they weren't blocked, because obviously if these are blocked, they can obviously skew the reading of the actual sensor. So to confirm that the DPF was actually completely blocked or not, we took those lines off, made sure there was nothing in them. We actually left them off, and we actually disconnected them and left the car running, and you could barely feel any exhaust gases coming out of the actual ports there. So we knew that this DPF was definitely blocked, and we had to do the manual clean before we could do the regeneration and get this sorted. So this is the actual gun cleaner that we use to manually clean the DPF. It's made by Palmax, which I think is a brand name by Blue Chem Products Australia. As far as I'm aware, that this is an actual OEM cleaner for some of the German manufacturers, but that's just what I've heard. I can't confirm that, so do your own research before you use a product like this. And we know for sure this works because we've had multiple DPFs completely blocked, two blocked where it wouldn't do an active regeneration, and we've used this to bring the soot level down enough that we can actually do an active regeneration and actually clean the DPF out. So we came down here and we took out this temperature sensor, and that allowed us to put that DPF cleaner straight in. It works really well, but it does say to you that if you do get it to a point where it foams up really quickly, then you actually need to start the car up and run it for 1 to 2 minutes while you're putting the rest through. But after I did the clean, I did a couple of photos at the start of the DPF regeneration, the soot accumulation, and at the end of the DPF regeneration, and you can see the soot accumulation down to almost nothing. So yeah, I hope that helps, and helps you in diagnosing blocked DPFs and what to do with them, because there's definitely a lot of factors involved, and you really need to get this right before you do anything like a regeneration to avoid any comebacks or the customer being upset. If you found this helpful, please like it, subscribe, and hopefully I'll do a few more videos coming up. Thanks. Hopefully if you get a car in that's got a DPF light flashing, or it's your own car, some of the things I mentioned you might be able to check yourself and get your DPF issues sorted.